I did get one in the office chat comment on YouTube. Conrad, why aren't you helping Jim on his quest for Holmes's asshole? But that's the only one. Pretty impressed.
Usually my month off. I usually take December quiet, but busy all round. Doing news and features and got the Destructoid nominations, doing my own award show, Jimquisition Awards, which I've taken a break from editing to do this. That's going well. So that's exciting. I bought gold cloth to put on my wall for filming in the background. It looks shit, but slightly different. And that will trick people into thinking it's special. Like people will be tricked into thinking this episode is special because it is the coffee special. Ladies and gentlemen, a tribute to coffee this week. That is a shit idea, Jonathan.
That's a great idea. I love coffee. I need coffee. I'm low on coffee. I want to think about it.
And now everyone else is thinking this is a special episode.
This is a really special episode.
Yeah, I've got nothing planned today. As I say, it's been busy. We've all been busy. I'm tired. It's a bad time. But we've told them it's the coffee episode now. What is your favourite coffee, Jonathan Holmes?
I like them all about the same. A friend of mine, I'll tell you about what he said about coffee. He said it's one of the 4 brothers that he needs to survive. Coffee, water, sleep, and food. And he calls coffee the diamond.
The diamond.
Surprising, isn't it? Yes. He calls it the diamond. He calls food fat trouble. He calls... I can't remember the names of the other 2. But he loves coffee. He needed to drink coffee in order to go to sleep. He would stay up all night unless he drank coffee. He'd have a little cup of coffee and relax and go to bed.
Aww.
Yeah,
I'm
what an interesting guy.
right now.
Well, that sounds like, how is that coffee?
How is your coffee, Conrad?
It's delightful. I like my coffee like I like my women, ground up and in the freezer.
Whoa. Yeah. A lot of people like the black and weak.
Black and strong.
Like black and weak. Some people like that. Yeah.
You know my favourite coffee, Jonathan?
I'm your favorite coffee, Jim?
No, I said, do you know my favourite coffee?
No, what's your favorite coffee, Jim?
John Coffey from the Green Mile.
Oh, he died. It's so sad.
Oh, he did, didn't he? Oh,
yeah,
I forgot
Michael Clark Duncan. He was going to be in Sin City too, and I was all excited about it.
Michael Clark Duncan died?
He did die of heart problem. Yeah,
who am I going to confuse with that other guy from Pulp Fiction? Now,
Ving Rhames, yeah.
Yeah, who am I going to confuse with Ving Rhames now?
Ving Rhames can't be confused with anyone, sir. That is. I was going to make a trophy. I still am one day. I'm going to make a trophy.
I'm going to have to switch to Lawrence Fishburne, I guess.
Oh, I don't know. It's no, my new microphone is especially easy to pick up dog barks.
Oh, we need that. We need more of those. That'd be fantastic.
Wonder how I'm going to solve this problem. We're recording a little early today, so there's no one to occupy my dog. So she's just tearing apart a gnome toy and staring at me menacingly.
Don't tear your dog apart. Piece of shit that it is.
But the hot movie news, though, guys, which you're excited about. Michael Clark Duncan's role as Manute has been replaced by the guy who played David Palmer and is also in those Allstate commercials, because he's also black. So he will be Manute in Sin City 2, because Michael Clark Duncan died. Huh?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, he looks nothing. They could have gotten Zeus, who is a professional wrestler. They could have got Ving Rhames, as Conrad mentioned, but instead they just got another black man.
The Allstate guy. Same difference. Same difference. They look exactly the same.
The Allstate guy is like 50 and chubby and skinny arms, you know.
Got a great voice, though.
He does have a great voice.
A great voice. You know what,
presidential.
Very presidential, indeed.
Speaking of movies and black actors,
Yes, please.
As a paranoid, nervous, constantly fretting white liberal, there is no greater joy than skimming through Netflix or some movie site, seeing a photograph of a black actor, thinking he looks like, Samuel L. Jackson or whatever. Oh my god, is it Samuel L. Jackson? Is it Samuel L. Jackson? Oh, thank God it is. I'm not racist.
Yeah.
That happened to me the other day, and it was Samuel L. Jackson, and I felt good about myself, and then I watched more Key and Peele and said, congratulations to me for enjoying this. This is a victory for the white struggle, that I'm enjoying this, and I'm not racist. Well done! Well done, all white people coming so far from such a struggling history. Fucking
Is
hell.
white struggle feeling bad about
About the
having it
shitty
good?
things we've done to everyone else. Yeah.
You haven't done anything.
I
want race.
personally did.
Yeah?
I invented slavery.
What was going through your mind when you invented that?
Be a laugh. No, I'm only joking, listeners. I didn't invent slavery. Just in case you thought that.
I wonder what the person who invented slavery was thinking, though. Just like, I wonder if I can get away with this. Just tell them, yep, you do what I said to do.
I can imagine
Don't punch me.
10 years later, when slaves are like everywhere, and he's just thinking, I can't believe I've got away with this. It was a drunken bet, like something Dave Gorman would do.
It's totally. Well, he just got in on the ground floor. He's like, shit. I mean, it's one of those situations where I think they sort of came from a position of thinking we're superior, so yeah, who cares? It's like all the other animals that walk the earth that were, created for our express use. What's the difference?
Well, the original slavery wasn't even race related, I don't think. It was just like that guy. He's a slave.
Well, yeah.
He is weak. I am strong. I will make him do things for me.
People conquered in war, the soldiers and the women and the children, would be taken and put to work, put to use, or put to the sword, one of the two. And then people who weren't in wars, they just had better guns. Just thought, well, we don't even have to have a fight to do it now. Just go over there, say, this is ours now, get on the boat, and that's it.
It's weird. It's always puzzled me. They're those. It's like those scenes in movies where they like take a guy out to die, and they're like, "Put your hands behind your head. We're taking you to a ditch, and we're gonna shoot you." And the guy's like, "Okay," and I'm like, "No, not okay. You don't just walk to where you're gonna get shot. You do something. You fart. You run. You try to tell a joke. You do something to break it up. You don't just say, oh well, I guess I'll just go die. I mean, when you're going to die. It doesn't get any worse than that. You might as well do something else. So it's puzzled me. You'd think.
So you're basically saying that you've just written off 200 years of racial struggle in America with try harder. Is that what you've done?
These days we would refer to that as pulling yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yeah, is that what you're saying? The slaves should have just said no and been a bit more proactive.
Of course not. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that it is interesting that when given a life or death situation, people will just... It's happened to me. When I got mugged, I just immediately was like, here's your money, sir. Like all the other options I could have done, like run or said something, or like I said, farted to break up the tension, or just be like, do I know you from high school? Like, there's a million things you could do to try to get out of getting robbed. But once you see that knife, you're just like, here's the money.
Yeah, I think everyone just imagines what they do in that situation. The badass quip they'd say as they punch the guy so hard, like uppercuts a guy so hard, the guy goes over a building. And then you just flex your muscles and 500 women in bikinis surround you and say, you are great. We will call you Mug Puncher and you are the new superhero of Gotham City. And you say, ha ha, yes, I know. But
I just typically imagine... I just imagine reaching into my wallet, pulling out my money, and handing it to the guy. Like, that's what I imagine.
That is what happens. Yeah.
That's the extent of your heroic fantasy.
Well, because it's not a heroism thing. It's just me. Like, if there were 20 other people behind me, and he was mugging us all simultaneously. Well, first of all, I feel pretty fucking stupid that the 20 of us couldn't gang up on this asshole and take him. But at the same, that would be heroic. Helping someone else is heroic. Helping yourself is just living. That's just survival.
Not in my mind. In my mind, I go to the store. I go to the grocery store, I buy myself a pre-packed sandwich, and I leave the store to applause. Well done, him. Buying himself, keeping himself alive with money he doesn't deserve. Well done, him.
Yeah, the term hero does get thrown around a lot. Just for anyone who did anything hard. Have we talked about that on Podtoid before, though? I don't want to go over old.
I don't know. I mean, we've mocked everything to do with slavery and the harsh, harrowing struggles that it entailed. So let's move on to that and how there are no heroes in the world.
The last thing I was going to say about mugging is at least a couple of people did get really disappointed with me when I told them, yeah, I got mugged. They're like, oh yeah? How many guys? I was like, 4 guys. They're like, 4 guys? And what did they pull a gun on you? I'm like, no, I pulled a knife. A knife? and you didn't and they got the money? I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, you got punked, dude. You should have done something. You should have kicked their asses. You should have danced. You should have break danced. Or let's come up with something. Should have just done.
Yeah, should have just. Yeah.
Yeah, they were genuinely disappointed.
Like they think every mugging altercation is like the original Terminator film when Arnold Schwarzenegger kicks Bill Paxton's friends' asses.
He's got a blue mohawk in that scene. That's so good.
Yeah. He does.
Terminator's great.
Yeah, he's had an altercation with a Terminator, a Predator, and an Alien.
And I think he was in that movie with Bill Pullman, too, where they cut off each other's heads. I'll get back to you on that.
Well, Highlander.
He's in Highlander?
I don't know. That's the when you say there's a film about cutting off heads, that is where I go.
Yeah, could be. I think it's called Brain Dead. No, that's that other movie with the zombies. I'll get back to you on it. I'm wasting all of our times.
Okay.
I thought the biggest news this week was Mega Man Cross Street Fighter, X Street Fighter.
What?
Or, Street Fighter X Mega Man?
Huh?
Not exciting to you guys?
What?
Any excitement there, Jim?
No. I don't do the fighting game scene. Ain't my bag.
It is a Mega Man game.
Right.
And it has Street Fighter characters in it.
Right.
It's been in the works for a while. I posted a story about it like a year and a half ago. One fan from Korea was making it. And then he showed it to Capcom, and they actually gave him money. They funded it, and they're marketing it. And they got it cleared as an official Capcom game. They had to clear it through Capcom Japan. Hamza did a very nice write-up on the whole thing. He did an interview. And it's a first, as far as I know, for a company to take a fan game and actually support it financially, but also release it for free. And if it does well, I'm really hoping this shows other companies that it's a worthwhile endeavor. Of course, my biggest fantasy is that Nintendo will officially back the Mother 3 translation patch, which is just a professionally done, very well translated thing you can love if you want. Yeah.
I'd like my penis to be just above adequate, but that's never going to happen. So that's not going to happen. But I see what you're saying. It's nice to see that happen, especially from Capcom of all companies. I wish SEGA would take a leaf out of their book. They're really not earning fans lately. What with having YouTube videos taken down of an old game that people just want to be celebrating.
Yeah, was it Shining Freedom Force or a Force of Shining Freedom?
It was one of those shiny, forcey games, yeah. It had any combination of those words together somewhere, in some order, because they're trying to push something else. As well as suing Level 5 for the Inazuma 11 games.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah,
and
that's like a patent infringement of just something that has to do with a soccer game.
Yeah,
right?
just some more dubious patent bullshit. And of the earlier one, of course, was the Streets of Rage sequel that a fan did. A really nice Streets of Rage game that this fan put together. And Sega kind of had to pull it down and won't do anything with the Streets of Rage property. Which is a shame, because I love Streets of Rage. Really like Streets of Rage, and recently as well, we had the Ruffian guys. That there was a leak from there that showed a 3D Streets of Rage game, but not not so much. It wasn't even like a gritty remake type thing. It was an actual Streets of Rage. It had the same style and everything. It was just across a 3D plane, like Fighting Force or something like that. Looked really good. It looked really promising, but Sega being what Sega is at the moment, I doubt we'll see it.
What is Sega these days? They closed Sega America, right? In some form. They've closed things, they've stopped things, they're putting out Sonic games and HD remakes. What else are they doing right now?
Well, they got Aliens, to its credit.
Yeah.
They got Colonial Marines, that might do well.
Well, they've been publishing some smaller indie stuff. I mean, they had Hell Yeah, Wrath of the Dead Rabbit earlier this year, and so some of that they're doing some smaller games too, that I think is very respectable.
They're ticking along. It's just they always surprise me because they have some amazing property, and they either mishandle it or don't use it at all. And I mean, how hard can it be to do a Golden Axe? It's not that Forgive me. Forgive me for my arrogance. Can't be that hard. I've played them. They don't look that hard to make. If indie guys like the Behemoth can do Castle Crashers and make it excellent, Sega, with its resources and just wealth of IP, can give us a good Golden Axe. What was Beast Rider? What was Golden Axe Beast Rider?
I'm trying to remember. It was brown. There was a lady.
And there you go. That's the point.
That's what it was. It was brown and there was a lady.
That's all I remember.
It was so mediocre. It was amazingly dull. I want to play it again now. Now that I remembered it existed. I'd had a terrible time, but it's not that hard. There's a guy. There are some other guys. Just hit them with a sword. Do some magic, punch a little gnome with a sack full of potions. Done deal. Streets of Rage, the same thing, but with mohawks.
And black roller skating kids. Is that right? And a kangaroo and a muscular old man cyborg.
We don't call them kangaroos. We call them African Americans. You racist.
I think Sega would do very well to endorse some fan games because Sega has a diehard fan base that grew up with the Genesis and then even into the Dreamcast, who are now capable of making their own games based on the very games that people like myself would love to buy if Sega touched them. But if Sega doesn't touch them, they might as well let other people do it and endorse it for PR and to keep their IP alive. Yeah, it'd be a great idea.
And this extends Jonathan Holmes' penis as well. If I can't touch it, I endorse other people doing it.
I didn't know that about you. You're pro just any sort of my genitalia being touched.
Yeah.
You're a supporter of that.
There's very little difference in my mind between your penis and an Ichiban buffet. Both are spicy, both are tasty, and both can be grabbed hold of by any fucker.
I really hope not. I don't like to think of me as just being that kind of loose trade, you know? I don't think I'm that easy. I think that I got to be won over a little bit before the stuff gets touched, right? Right, Conrad?
No.
Well, that was the purpose of the entire podcast, as I understand it, right?
To win me over. This has just been a 2-year attempt to get me to let my guard down sexually.
The whole thing has been one big sales pitch. We've not been recording a gaming podcast. We've been negotiating for your sweet, sweet ass. Speaking of which,
what is it? It's like that. It's like that old Winston Churchill joke. Where he asks a woman, "If I paid you £20,000, would you sleep with me?" And she says, "Why, yes, Mr. Churchill, I think I would." And he said, "Well, what if I gave you £20?" And she says, "Well, what kind of woman do you take me for?" And he says, "Well, we've already established that. Now we're just negotiating price."
This was the
Exactly.
president of England, Winston Churchill.
The Prime Minister.
Prime Minister.
Right, president.
Yeah. But while I'm reminded of the subject, Jonathan,
Yes.
You tweeted something last night.
Oh no.
That my wife told me about, and it made me laugh. I didn't see it directly because I wasn't checking my phone. But you tweeted last night about, and do forgive me, listeners, for some reason I can talk about anything, but this particular subject strikes me as lower brow than anything else.
Uh-oh.
I'm just going to put it out there. You were talking about farts.
Yes, I was.
Yes, you have a problem with blow-offs, with windy pops, with the breaking of the wind, with anal gusting, with rectal whirlwinds.
I'll give a little.
Parts.
I'll give a quick context. I was staying late at my day job because I had the day off today, which meant I had to do pretty much all of today's paperwork the day before. So I was staying late, I was eating meatballs, I was tired and sad, and I farted alone in a room while I was typing terrible paperwork that was just so boring. It was like almost 9 o'clock. I'd been there for over 12 hours. And then a nurse came in. Just suddenly was like, "Hey, you know that patient you arrested yesterday?" I'm sorry, let me start that over. "Hey, you know that patient you discharged yesterday? We just got a call from the cops. They were arrested. They punched someone in the face."
Your co-worker is Navi from Ocarina of Time.
Hey!
Hey! Listen!
Yeah. And I'm like, "Oh, I just farted and it's awful. And you just came in here unannounced to tell me that someone that I helped leave the Locke Psychiatric Hospital has just assaulted a police officer. So you're like emotionally farting on me by just telling me that I must have done a terrible job if I discharged someone who was in poor straits enough to punch a cop. And now you're smelling my fart and judging me for being a lone office farter." And it just made me think, why?
Oh, that can be just the next game instead of the sequel to Lone Survivor, just Lone Office Farter. You play a man in a small office with a typewriter, has to be a typewriter, eating soggy meatballs and just farting alone in his own misery, while a nurse occasionally comes in to let him know how he's failing at his job.
I would play it. I would relate with that.
Already
maybe, yeah, that's the story of my life as of yesterday. But I couldn't figure out why at this day and age with the internet, and pretty soon we're gonna have cars that drive themselves, and all sorts of progressions and social movements. We got black president, gay marriage, but we still have smelly farts. How is that okay? Why wasn't that taken care of first?
I know. It's annoying, isn't it, Jonathan? And yes. I agree with you. There should be a filter or something. And that got me to thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me out. I have invented the answer to your problem.
You have?
I have invented your wildest dreams. I have come up with an idea. It's only in the planning phases, but it's already built, essentially, and it just needs testing in my lab in Boston. Your house. The patented Sterling Core fart filter.
Wow, Sterling Core.
Sterling Core, that's my new company. And now, your problem with farts mainly is they smell, which isn't good in the modern world, is it, Jonathan?
Well, no, it's leaves a social stigma.
Social stigma, yes.
Yeah, the guy who farts, it's very embarrassing.
But
Mm.
we all want to keep the pleasure of farting. It's one of life's little mysteries. And we don't want that taken away from us, not by man or beast. But we can make it better on our noses and the noses of those around us with the Sterling Core fart filter. It's an interesting conversion system that involves a machine that clamps itself gently to your anus, which you can affix before you fart or wear all night, and then it converts the smelly farts into a lovely waft, a pleasant aroma that the whole room can enjoy. And you still get to have funny Trump sounds, but without any of that dirty, trumpy, trampy smell. Basically, it involves me on all fours, with a mouthful of chewing gum, and you farting into my mouth, at which point I will then blow the fart out with a lovely minty fresh breath. Imagine the scene, Jonathan. You're at a dinner party. It's the annual mental hospital idiot ball for the hospitals in the whole county of mental idiot hospitals. You're in your tuxedo, you're looking good. They've given out deviled eggs. Oh dear. Sure to be a bit of a social faux pas in an hour or two when you start prumping out of your bumhole. Disgusting. The MD is there, the managing director of the hospital, and said to you the evening before, he said, "God damn it, Peter Parker! Fart out of your ass tonight! You're fired! Get me photos and then don't get Spider-Man!" And, oh no, this is terrible for Jonathan Holmes. If he farts a deviled egg farty smell in the ballroom that evening, he is going to be fired. No problem. As you feel your motions, you reach into your tuxedo pocket and bring out a small bell. It's a little silver bell. Give it a little tinkle. I will emerge from under one of the tables where I've been eating scraps of hors d'oeuvres that have fallen off of people's plates. On all fours, scurry over, possibly just going, just so that you know I'm coming.
Is that an alarm sound?
It's just a little sound out of my mouth. I'm chewing all sorts of chewing gum, different types, Hubba Bubba as well, just because I like the taste of it. And I'm just crawling over, wearing Y-fronts and army camouflage tank top. And I come out, you unbelt your trousers, pull down your pants and underpants.
Why?
Squat a little, just say, "Excuse me, everybody. I'm just
drawing attention to it with announcing that I'm already embarrassed." Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Know what's going on. They'll be say, "What's this idiot doing? Is he one of the patients who got let out? Is it that guy that no good Jonathan Holmes released?" Like he's Jonathan Crane or something. But no, you will just say, "Attention, everybody! I'm just about to fart, and I've been eating deviled eggs, and there was a risk that I would stink out this entire ballroom." And in the background, you just see your boss going, "He's going to embarrass me in front of the Pope!" And then you just squat a bit, just say, "No more problems, ladies and gentlemen, because I've bought the Sterling Core fart filter." You pull your cheeks apart, like proper apart, to the point where it hurts you. I crawl up, get my lips right in the gully of it, between the cheeks, just so I'm clamped like a suction cup Garfield in a car window. Just clamped over your ring piece. You let the fart out into my mouth. I swallow, because I'm just that kind of classy dame. And then just breathe out and go, I'm on my knees and my arms are out wide, just wafting around. And then everyone's smelling, just going, "Oh my god, this is going to smell like proper evil deviled egg." But wait a minute, smells like Orbit gum. And then you, as you're pulling up your trousers, you say, that's because it is orbit cum, the smell of, thanks to the Sterling Core fart filter. Who wants to buy one? And at that point, the crowd are going fucking insane. I'll buy, how much? God damn it, Parker! You've done it again! How much for one? $500. Fuck that! Have 1,000!
Whoa. Well, why is he that enthusiastic? And have 1,000? Who need for 1,000 different people, or just how can there's only one? It's you. Wow.
Giving you $1,000 because he's so impressed he's going to pay double. Cheap!
Oh. But you just have to breathe in people's farts then?
And go, "Rrrr."
That's bad for you. I feel bad for you. Wouldn't that be sad?
Not if I'm making $500 a pop, mate.
That is pretty good.
Available to rent for any function. Except for you, Jonathan, who you'll be free.
Aw.
Just as an employee of the company. It was a Sterling Core QA tester. And we will need to test it a lot. I'm going to need to suck down a lot of your package.
Why would you want to? That would be so sad. Can you picture doing that? Really just taking in a fart into your mouth? Mouth suck fart? Ouch. Ouch.
Sharing.
Converting what?
Converting, sharing. That's the policy of Sterling Core. That's the business we do. It's like Little Big Planet, but with...
Someone did alert me. I hate to ruin your plan because it's a great plan and it is a superior plan to the one that's already on the market. But there are special underwear that are filled with charcoal grounds that you can fart into, and it filters the sulfur smell out. So, but you always just have to sit on some like charcoal granules.
I don't like that. That's inconvenient. That's inconvenient, and imagine all the sulfur just trapped in those pants. It would burn through them and smell like Satan.
I'm not that confident that they would work. I don't think charcoal is the end-all be-all for fart filtering. Yeah, for fart filtering.
My mouth full of mints is
How loud is that dog?
It's
pretty goddamn loud.
It's the loudest dog in the world, Jonathan.
This is a pretty good microphone, then. Is it really working, the microphone? Now, let me test it. Is this getting louder? Is this getting louder? Is this getting louder?
It's getting more distorted.
Yeah, it's just distorted.
Oh, all right. Farther away, farther away, farther away. Okay. Well, I'll see what I can do about the dog. KK, come! Come, don't be a jerk.
Oh, sorry, you said come and I obeyed.
I'm not sure what I can do about it. Do you want me to leave the podcast for a second and come back and quiet her down?
It's awful.
You guys can talk amongst yourselves. It'll be great.
Yeah, because Skype struggles to pick up multiple voices. That's why there's a lot of gappy when we have conversations. And the dog coming in will just gap us all even more.
Yeah. I wonder how I mute my microphone. I'm going to mute it. Oh, I figured out how to mute it. I'm going to mute it. I'll go deal with the dog. I'll be right back.
It's like discovering fire. Amazing. What have we got to talk about, Conrad?
Oh, God, I don't know.
It feels wrong talking about sucking down your farts.
Well, I appreciate that. Actually, the other day, I don't know what was up with me. I mean, I have like an odd... I don't eat well or at all a lot of the time, and so the things that I do eat are really bad for me and produce a large quantity of methane. And I swear to God, with a little bit of training, yesterday I could have been playing taps. I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe even Reveille, although that's a little ambitious.
Work up to it.
Yeah.
Keep chasing the rainbow.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this is, I've always wanted to try and find the thing that could get me on Letterman. Some stupid human trick that I could do. I don't even want to be on. I don't even like Letterman that much. I think he finds one joke and runs with it his entire goddamn show. It's really tedious. But I would like to be known for having this stupid thing that I can do.
I don't understand Letterman or any late night talk show host. I've watched bits of them all. And it must be a cultural thing, because I just watch them stone-faced and don't even... It's not even that I don't find them funny, I literally don't understand them. I don't get it.
I think it's... Well, a part of it is that it's changed a lot, I think. They used to be more variety shows. That's where that sort of came out of. And so if you go back and you look at episodes of The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, it's actually pretty amazing that even though most of the humor in it is topical in nature, and all of the guests are, there to promote some current thing that they're doing, most of those episodes still seem to hold up when I watch them. Like, there's something timeless about Carson that he was able to carry that forever. The rest of them, I'm with you. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't understand. I like Conan O'Brien. And I find Conan O'Brien, he's good at doing acting things. And I've seen him be funny, but when I see him in the context of the show he does, it's painful to me. Physically painful to me. It's just, there's something that I'm probably never going to grasp.
When Conan O'Brien took that slot, took the Letterman show when Letterman went to CBS, I tried to watch it because a lot of my peers really loved it. They thought it was just sort of weird and crazy and fun, and kind of a lot like Letterman was when he was first starting out in that late night slot. I just didn't see it, and I didn't think it would run as long as it did. And then when they put him in the Tonight Show, I was just like, they're going to kill the Tonight Show. And so the best thing that came out of it was him leaving it. Because I don't know that the slot was a really good fit for Conan. I think he has a very fervent fan base that loves everything he does. And I find him to be funny from time to time, but I don't. But the manner in which he left that show, and all the controversy and things, and the way he carried himself doing it, I gained far more respect for him as someone who's serious about being an entertainer than I ever did from anything I watched him perform.
Huh. Yeah. It's all about charming the audience, I think. Because they have the structure of comedy, but it's not really jokes. It's really just trying to be likable and make people feel comfortable and connected to you, which is kind of what we do on this show, guys. This is kind of a late night talk show of podcasts.
Yeah, it's very clear that our goal is to make people feel comfortable and at ease.
That's what especially the co-hosts. I've always worked to make you, Jonathan, especially feel comfy and elegant, like a fine dame. Tell you what I did this weekend.
Yeah, tell me.
Exciting weekend. I went down to the beach.
Whoa.
I heard you were going to do that.
December beach, which in Mississippi isn't that funny because you can still get sunburned, as my wife found out, in the face. Still incredibly sunny. Way too warm outside still in December here. It's bullshit. I feel cheated out of my winter. But we went down because we've doing some location filming for the Gymquisition for an episode that's airing on New Year's Eve. I'm very excited about it. It involves Miracle of Sound, who is the talented musician of The Escapist. So that's exciting. But we went down there, did some filming. There were dead birds on the beach. It's fantastic. We got them in. Got a dead pelican in the video, because if it's there, use it. That's my theory. There was one on the tide with its heart exposed and no skin on its head or neck.
Oh my god.
It was awful. It was like you could see the feathers on the wings and the bottom half of it, and then it was just this heart and this spinal column and a skull, and it was just crippled on the beach.
That's nightmarish. Wow, you got footage of this?
Yeah, because we thought it would be funny in the video. I always love the idea of the condemned beach. It's one of my favourite images of just a filthy beach full of syringes and carcasses. And there were no syringes, unfortunately, but the carcasses added to what I was going for with the video of just this awful, shitty beach. So that was interesting. Went to our friend's house, Timothy's house, on an army base, because he's in the army, and I got to see one of those army base residential things that America has, which was cool, because it was like being on the set of any suburban slasher horror movie, because they always look like that and not like real houses. And that was cool. Played some board games. Played a board game called Betrayal at the House on the Hill, which I
Betrayal at House on Haunted Hill, and I have that game. That game is amazing.
It's not Haunted Hill because I.
Oh no, you're right. It's Betrayal at the House on the Hill. That's right. You're right.
It's
Avalon Hill. Mm-hmm. And it's a modular board game where you build out the house as you explore it, and yeah, that's a really, really cool game. It's scenario based, isn't it?
Yeah. Once you trigger the scenario, there's like dozens of ways in which the story can unfold. And one
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just say one of the people you play with, one of the guys, because it's cooperative at first, but then once the haunting is triggered, one of you is the traitor, and you get your own special rule book, and you go away and learn what the scenario is. And there's dozens of scenarios. In this one, we found out that one of our friends discovered Frankenstein's remains and reanimated it, and then it was a Frankenstein story, and there was this own special rule set of how you deal with that. And there's other ones as well. Someone else who's played it told us that there was a Rat King one, and
there's a spiders one that's really nasty. There's a zombie master one. And one of the things that I loved about the game was that due to its modular nature, for someone who likes to make up their own games, it works really, really well with that. Just using their sort of base rules, you can construct your own scenarios. And so I started more. I created a few more complex scenarios for my regular gaming group, where we determined before the game started who was a traitor and who was not, and people had different goals that they needed to achieve. And who would be applied randomly, and then there would be another. So, it's such a cool game because of how really kind of simple its mechanics are, and yet it's challenging for everyone, and the game's never the same twice.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We've actually been getting into board gaming over here because we've. I don't know what started it, but we've had some friends of ours who are gamers, and we started hanging out a lot more, and now a lot more board games have been played. So every time we hang out now, someone's got a new game. So I've been taking suggestions for more to get, and I'm definitely picking up after we play that. Definitely picking up the House on the Hill game, because it is, as you say, it's just the replay on it is fantastic, and it's so easy to get into. Like as soon as you've had one turn, you know exactly how to play it. Yeah. It's not confusing at all for the amount of nuance that's in it. So that's good.
I saw that you played Zombies the other week and didn't care for that.
That one, I mean, partially it had to do with the fact it was midnight when we were playing it, and everyone was exhausted, and it wouldn't end.
Yes, that is a factor of that game. That's another game, though, that I think plays really well for making your own scenarios.
That's exactly what we thought. Once we gave up and said, let's just say they dropped a nuke on it, our friend Flannel actually pointed out that it's got all the basics of a really good game, but could do with extra rules. And you go online, and there's, of course, hundreds of fan-made rule sets. So we might try it again with those.
Yeah, Board Game Geek is really the place to go if you have any interest in board games. They have great reviews. They have a fantastic community, and they've got a really cool trading system implemented into the site. So that even if you have a game that you're just missing parts on, somebody's got those parts and will be willing to sell them to you or trade them with you. There's a fantastic game. It's kind of like Risk that I like to play. It's called Supremacy. It was a Canadian game, came out in the 80s, and you can tell it's a Canadian game because they labeled Canada as a middle power in one of the expansions.
Wow. But everyone in Canada just frowned.
But it's like Risk with nuclear weapons and a stock market or a trading market. So you have resources that you need to have to build your armies and to invest in research to learn how to use these new weapons. So you have to research nukes. You have to research satellite defensive systems. And it costs billions and billions and billions of dollars to do this. So you're building up debt and escalating your scenario. I've never seen it. It's possible to win, I'm told. I've never seen a game that ever ended in anything but total nuclear winter. But the run-up to it is so tense and engaging and fun because the original game would come with like peace treaties and things that you could sign with other players, and they mean nothing. They mean absolutely nothing because that guy's gonna fuck you eventually. There's a very, public social exchange of, we'll agree to this and we'll do this, and then there are private, you'll get people, hey, I'm going to run to the bathroom, and the guy goes to the fridge to get a drink, and on the way back from the bathroom, the other guy says, hey, let's talk about this a little bit.
Awesome.
It's really, really fun, but hard to find. And so I bought a copy from eBay at one point that was missing a couple of rule books and things like that, missing one of the supply center cards that's, kind of crucial. Every player needs to have one of these. And so it wasn't a complete set, and I couldn't play it with the maximum number of players and so forth. Went on Board Game Geek and put out a request, and within like 2 weeks, somebody had hit me up and said, hey, I've got a spare one of these. Do you want it?
Oh, really?
Nice.
For keepsies? Just a giveaway? Just a nice guy thing?
Well, the thing is, I think board gamers have I've gone to board game conventions, which, like, the only thing that sounds sadder than going to a Star Trek convention is to go to a board game convention. It just seems, that's just like, ooh. And it's exactly what you imagine. Like, when you visualize the sort of people that are hanging around in a Radisson over a weekend playing board games.
It sounds like they're probably pretty nice, though, and there's a good sense of community.
They're all wonderful people, is the thing. You have a few jackasses here and there, but by and large, those people are generally very positive, nice people. But they play board games in a Radisson over a hotel weekend. And I can admit that because I'm kind of one of those people. I'll do that.
You are. You're one of the kings of them.
I remember one year I went to a convention and I had a Shadowrun game I was supposed to play the next morning. And I had it scheduled for an early slot. I don't know what I was thinking. It was like 10 a.m. I was supposed to start. And I was dating this girl who convinced me to go out to a rave the night before. And we went out and we partied and we had a great time, and I came back, but I didn't get any sleep. And I got back and I'm just dead tired, and I'm feeling it all over head to toe. And I walk into the room to see the people who signed up for my game, and it's these two guys in their mid-40s that are, overweight and balding and greasy, and talking about how their second marriage, one of their second marriages didn't work out. I walked through the room exhausted, looked at this and thought, oh God, that's
your future.
It's right there in front of me.
Yeah, I know that feeling well. It's actually my birthday tomorrow. I'm one of those balding, or bald, depending on who you ask. It's headed towards middle age, guys. I'll be 36. I'll be halfway to 72. Starting tomorrow, guys. It's an amazing feeling. Yeah. I'm older than you, Conrad, or no? I can't remember.
You're about 4 years older than I am.
I thought so. Wow, yeah. I'm way older than Jim. Jim is like 19 or something. Young, strong man out on the streets, being young and going to board game parties and the beach. All these grand things that only the youth can enjoy, Jim.
Yeah.
It's weird, though. Like, getting into your 30s and thinking about, spans of time and so forth. The other day, Frosty the Snowman came up for some reason, and I was in some local theater production of Frosty the Snowman when I was 7. And I thought about that for a moment. I was like, holy shit, that was a quarter of a century ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that was...
Fuck me.
That is a Mega Man ago. A whole Mega Man series. Wow. Yeah, we're old. Well, I'm old. You're getting old.
I'm getting old.
Young and
sprightly.
I'm practically a baby.
How about video games,
Jonathan Holmes, it is your birthday. Put on your mesh tank top.
No. That's I was reading about how to be a good friend, and one of the things involves never saying no, just moving the conversation in different directions, shaping it, but never putting a halt on it. But I had to say no to the mesh tank top.
You're just being a bad friend to me.
I am. I kind of am.
And as punishment, You need to wear the mesh tank top.
I'd look terrible. That's the only reason why I wouldn't wear it. I used to wear them when I was much younger.
You'd look glorious.
There's probably a picture of me on the internet somewhere wearing a red one. I used to wear back in high school, junior high, high school. But Jim, you played the Rayman Legends demo. I haven't downloaded it yet. I've been meaning to, but I've been busy all day. How'd that turn out? Did you play it too, Conrad? I want to know about it.
Did I play what?
The Rayman Legends demo came out today.
No, I haven't played it yet. Yeah, that's on the Wii U? Yeah?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. No, actually my Wii U's plugged in again.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of outlets in my apartment.
Right, so you got to choose.
Yeah, and so I've got these two huge power strips hanging off the two outlets that I have, dedicated for my entertainment center stuff, and I can have either the PS3 or the Wii U plugged in, but not both if I want to, use stuff. So, I actually haven't really used my Wii U that much in the last couple of weeks, which I feel kind of bad about. But I'd like to play the Rayman Legends demo. That's my jam. So
Indeed. And Jim, I didn't get to read all of your article about it, but it sounded like you liked things about it and that you're confident about it, and yet there were still some things that bugged you. Is that right?
Yeah. Johnny's got the body of a Spartan general. Put on your mesh tank top.
I have the body. It's similar to the body of Hakan from Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
The Turkish oil wrestler.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that. I actually had a nightmare last night that I was cosplaying as him in a giant like kiddie pool of oil and just being like, "No! Here we are! Ha ha ha! Aren't you happy? I am!" And people are like, "He is a loser! I love him!" And just laughing at me being middle-aged and like having a big muscular stomach. It's just a weird look. It's not a look I'm
Jonathan
accustomed to. Yeah.
Let's do that.
This was a nightmare, Jim. It was a metaphor for how I am.
But tonight it's gonna be my dream.
I believe it was a metaphor for how I am in the world of teenagers and 20-somethings as a 36-year-old trying to do things about video games, which is largely the enthusiast market is largely people under 35. And I am not younger than 35, so I feel like a middle-aged Street Fighter joke character. He is a bit of a joke character. I don't know. He whirls around in oil and he beats his chest and stuff. He's not cool.
You.
Yes.
You.
Me.
You. Completely naked.
Uh-huh.
Completely. Nothing to the imagination. Totally Billy Bollocks. Oiled from head to toe. Just slathered and shiny and slick. Knee deep in the bull pool at the local McDonald's. Just flexing your muscles and saying, "Aren't I fabulous? Aren't you happy?" And I've got all children gathered round you that I've paid to go, "I love him, he's a loser."
But they were entertained. There was teenagers and they liked it, but they liked laughing at me and with me in a weird way.
Well, like I say, I mean, I need them to say, "We love him, he's a loser."
Right.
So I'll pay them to say that. I'm under every impression that they're loving it, genuinely. But, the $5's gonna seal the deal. They can buy themselves a Big Macintosh with that at the McDonald's. So
why hasn't McDonald's teamed with Apple for the Big Macintosh? That makes so much sense.
It makes too much sense.
Yeah, that's why they haven't done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually the way. Any other video?
Too bad too, because I could totally see them packaging it. Like they bring back the old styrofoam containers for the McBLT. That would allow the hot to stay hot and the cold to stay cold, because it's that innovative, slick design. But it's all like bubble as opposed to the sort of like sharp but rounded corners.
Oh yeah.
I'm just glad that there's going to be another person who remembers the McBLT.
I sure do remember the McBLT. I was 4 years older than you when that came out, and I loved it. What other video games?
You old man. Actually, I can talk about Rayman Legends a little bit.
Oh yeah, I asked you about that. I'd love to hear more.
It is incredible.
You like it?
I loved it. With some caveats.
Mm.
mostly the gimmicky stuff. And it's not just me hating on gimmicky stuff, because I liked it in Zombie U. I thought Zombie U did it very well, but unlike Zombie U, the transition from the traditional platforming to the gyroscope touchscreeny stuff is very harsh. It's like, oh, you're enjoying a platforming game, then suddenly it's a dumbed-down Lemmings with this guy just walking automatically and you're manipulating the environment to get him around. And there's not really any risk, because the guy will stop himself and wait for you, rather than like walk off ledges or walk into trouble. So there's very little risk, and you're just basically playing another tech demo, which I don't like at all. I really wasn't taken with that, and I'm like, this is kind of bland and uninteresting, and then you really gotta swing it round when you're doing the gyroscope stuff to move platforms, like big swings, and it just feels needlessly awkward and getting in the way. But that was one level. The second level was a lot more Rayman Origins. You know, tight level design, you're collecting stuff, you're finding hidden places, you're rescuing little blue guys from prisons. All the stuff we've seen in Rayman Origins. And I'm like, this is cool. You know, it's not mind-blowing now that we've already seen it in Origins, but it's cool. This is a solid game. Then I played Castle Rock, the other level, which is basically a mix between a runner game like Cannabolt and a rhythm game. And it's fucking jaw-dropping. It's majestic. That's the word I would use. Fucking majestic. It's one of those things I don't like describing, because you really need to see it. But, you know, you're like an old Mario game. The screen is moving from left to right, and you don't want to get caught on the left side, because you've got to constantly keep running. There's this wall of fire chasing you.
They call that forced scrolling.
Forced scrolling, there we go. So it's not quite a runner game, because it's not automatic. You have to run. But other than that, it's basically a runner game, because one fuck up and you're more or less dead. But wow, it's the music, the graphics, and the gameplay is just perfectly aligned. It's one of those rare cases. It happens sometimes in games. It's one of those cases where everything just aligns together to create this perfect, seamless experience. You know, you're running from this thing. Every power-up you collect is adding to the music. Every jump you make, every zip wire you slide down, it's all making music. And the enemies are singing along. And
that's what they did that incredibly effectively in Rayman Origins. I mean, it was basically, it wasn't that you were just playing a game, you were playing a world. You know, the whole world came alive around you as a direct result of the actions that you took. And, well, it to an extent makes it feel like there's only one way. And that's not just in the forced scrolling levels either. There feels like there's a right way to run through all of Rayman Origins. And have that sense, but it really shows through the most clearly in those forced scrolling levels that, you know, because you do have to hit the timing to hit the things, and by that very nature, the rhythm plays well into making a musical composition.
And the beauty of the way they did it this time around is just, it rocks so fucking hard. Like, just, it's fucking beautiful. They really cinched it this time, and that convinced me that, you know, if they keep that up, this is going to be something wonderful.
I mean, who would have thought Rayman could be a series that I would give a shit about in 2012, 2013?
Yeah, it's an amazing comeback. Weird. It's one of gaming's all-time great comebacks, I think, or at least I hope so. It is kind of disparaging, though, to hear that the Wii U specific, the Wii U gamepad specific stuff wasn't so good. Was that stuff you wouldn't have to do if you were playing it multiplayer, Jim? Like, would someone else be able to just do that and you could play normally? Was it because it was single player that it was so kind of in your face and slowing the momentum down, or do you think it just wasn't well implemented regardless?
I don't know.
Just wondering.
Well, you made the complaint that the gyroscope related, you know, the motion control for moving platforms was that it required a lot more momentum to make it register that, right?
Yeah, it's just overly awkward.
Well, hopefully that's a sensitivity thing that can be adjusted, and it's not a major issue. That sort of thing I can see really being a problem, especially in a single player situation. But who can say?
Yeah, I'm hopeful for when it comes out next year. That's exciting. What other video games did you guys do? You do any other ones? What are you doing? What's Conrad doing?
Oh gosh, what did I do? I was playing this really interesting little indie game that Jordan wrote a post about yesterday called Castilla something. Castilla Matilda or something like that.
Custer's Revenge.
Oh no, that's a classic. That is a classic. Oh god, what was the name of that game? I just had it up here. There we go. It's Maldita Castilla.
Oh,
it's sort of like a Ghosts and Goblins.
Oh, that one. Yeah, it's a free iOS game, right?
No, it's PC. It's a free PC
my mistake.
Game.
Gotcha.
And yeah, it's really, really good. It's not Ghosts and Goblins. It's not. I mean, it looks like Ghosts and Goblins. Visually, it's got a lot of the same style. It controls like Ghosts and Goblins because you have that. It's not as static a jump as Arthur has.
Okay.
You do get a little bit of wiggle on the momentum, and you can sort of slow yourself from going too far in a jump. But it's also that makes a huge difference right there. I mean, that's one of the first things I could say. This is way easier than Ghosts and Goblins ever was. But the guy did a fantastic job of making me feel like I was playing something that those people could have made.
Right, from that era. It sounds like the main character looked like Arthur crossed with one of the Monty Python Knights from the Holy Grail a little bit. He looked like Sir Robin a bit. Is that right?
Yeah, he's wearing one of those chainmail. It's like a cowl. I don't know what the technical term is.
Yeah, and is there a cross on his chest?
Yeah, he looks like a little Knights Templar thing going on.
Yeah, I like that character design a lot. I'll have to play it. Though it does worry me when really good games, or at least pretty good games, come out for free like that, and it's not a fan game. It's a tribute, but it's definitely not using someone else's direct characters. Because that's training people to think, oh, well, just good video games should be free then. Well, I'm not paying for any more good video games. I'll just play the free ones. That worries me. I
don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Jim's talked about it before.
I really don't see that diminishing the I don't see the presence of quality free games diminishing the value of other games.
You don't think it trains consumers to think, oh, well, I shouldn't have to pay for good video games?
I don't think that's a bad thing.
What it trains the consumer to think is, holy fuck, why am I paying so much money for games that aren't as good?
That's exactly when we're looking at like free to play games like Blacklight Retribution, which is providing serious quality PC online multiplayer first person shooting. Once we see more of those, it gets to a point where it's like, why am I paying $60 for a game that does all that and then still does the free-to-play stuff in the form of overpriced DLC? It doesn't add up. And I think we're starting to see that with handheld gaming, especially when you can get a quality game for less than $5 on a mobile device. And, the same game could be $10, and the higher games can be up to $40 on a 3DS or a PS Vita. And it's like, at that point, you're paying a ridiculous premium just for the privilege of using buttons and sticks. And I think for a lot of people that is starting to look like a bit of a raw deal.
Yeah, but people not really a bad thing.
No, not at all.
I think that's a great thing because it's going to eventually reach a point where either there are enough consumers who have come to draw this conclusion that they are being, charged too much for these premiums, that it forces the industry to make a shift. Or we learn that that's not really that important to people.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing all around. I mean, I love that I can get quality games now for free or very cheap. I mean, you look at something like Legend of Grimrock, which is this awesome dungeon crawling role playing game, proper old school stuff. Looks gorgeous. $15 and did really well. That kind of stuff really excites me and lets me think that the future ain't as bad as it looks if you just look at the AAA space.
Well, 15 is good. Free, I guess free still just makes me nervous, guys. Makes me nervous. Makes me
I
nervous for
think it should
games that
make
are...
people nervous. I think the game industry, that's the stuff the game industry should be nervous about. Not we need to spend millions of dollars making this game and then we need to make millions of dollars back. They should be nervous with there are free games that are being as good as or better than us, and we need to deal with it. Not just bury themselves deeper in their big hole of debt.
Yeah, that makes sense. It hopefully will put the scare on people that are obviously charging way too much for their games and trying to get
It's
away
a ridiculous system. This will probably be the first Jimquisition thing I tackle when I get back from the holiday episodes, is this idea of just how suicidal every game that's made by a big publisher in retail should cost $60, and we're not gonna change that at all because that's how it's been done, and that's how we're gonna do it. That rigid thinking, it flies in the face of any kind of industrial evolution.
Indeed. What a wise man. I enjoy it. People did freak out though. Mutant Mudds, which was a 3DS game for $8.99, released on iOS for 99 cents. 3DS owners were mad.
That right there is the problem. There's no excuse. It's not, and only to people like Stealth, who hates iOS games and thinks they're automatically all inferior. A lot of people don't think that way. I certainly don't think that way. I still got more gaming this year out of my iPad than my PS Vita or my 3DS. Quality stuff. I had great fun with it. It didn't matter that the interaction was simple. And even the complex stuff's getting good. I mean, Gameloft does good work with making touch controls work with more traditional games, and this stuff's just cheaper. There's increasingly less of an excuse, especially when you get games on the Vita, especially that are basically iPhone games. You get Escape Plan, which released on the PlayStation Network for $10. If that was on iOS, it would be 99 cents. It looks and plays and exactly like an iOS 99-cent game. But because it's on the Vita, they believe they have this right, this God-given mandate to charge more. And sorry, but the game's changing, and they're going to have to change with it.
Well, do you think 3DS owners have the right to be angry that a game they bought for $9 is now 99 cents on a phone? And it's essentially it's actually a really good port if you guys are interested.
Yeah. It depends where they direct their anger. I'm guessing they're furious at who did it? Renegade Kid?
Yeah, Renegade Kid. Jules Watcham.
I'm guessing they're furious at Renegade Kid when they really should be furious at the system that's allowed this to happen. The system that, if it's on 3DS, and it might not even be Renegade Kid's fault. They might have to pay Nintendo something. They might have to pay the ESRB something.
He did a write-up. I'll sum it up real quickly. Yeah. He said when he put it out on 3DS, he didn't know how the game was going to do. And he looked at what other games were selling that were of the same length and the same style. And he actually priced it a little lower. He said he compared it to Cave Story, which was $10. He was like, oh, I guess $9 then. But then when he did the same thing for iOS, he looked at the market. He's like, oh, there's really good games here for free or 99 cents. And they're making a lot of money, the 99-cent ones, because the market is so much bigger. So I'll make more money if I charge 99 cents than I do for $2.99 because the competition's too steep. If I charge $2.99, no one will buy it. If I sell it for 99 cents, 10 times as many people will buy it. So I'll make my money back. So that's why he made his choice. It seems like fair business decision.
Yeah,
but
they're in
people
a fucked
are
up
really
system. It's a fucked up difference between the markets, and one that needs to be addressed by Nintendo. not the developers. It needs to be addressed by the people running the fucking markets, Nintendo and Sony. I mean, Sony really fucked up with the PS Minis. We had, like, Tetris was $10 on the PS Mini marketplace. The exact same game was $5 on iOS. And Sony was doing nothing. When they were brought up on this, like, why are minis so expensive when the idea of it is to provide a comparable market to what Apple has, their thing was, well, it's not our fault. They can charge what they want. And then you ask the developers, and they're like, well, to put it on the PS Vita, we need to run it through an ESRB certification process, which costs money. It costs us money, and we're already in debt. We're already selling this, and need to make our money back more so than on an Apple product. And again, Sony's attitude to that was fingers in ears, we can't hear you, not our problem, when it was their problem because they were trying to build a market to combat Apple and they weren't. And it should have been on Sony's shoulders to try and work with developers and make that cost less for them and help them put the game on the market. Don't just open it up, say it's your problem. That's not how you build a good market, in my estimation. So there you go.
You did it. Good, Jim. Thanks for the info. It's always good to get your thoughts on things. You too, Conrad. You guys are smart guys, I know. I like knowing you. I should do. Should I do those questions for the show?
Yeah, we can do some questions.
Someone asked one yesterday. I believe it was Tim Rattay. Rattay?
Rattray, I think, isn't it?
Rattray, yes. I'm just from memory remembering how his name was spelled. And I'm typing Podtoid questions with my hand while I'm holding my microphone. He wanted to know what our most memorable moment of video games was this year. That's pretty tough. I couldn't think of anything that was that memorable, honestly. But I haven't played Walking Dead yet, so maybe that's why. Everyone says that's the real life-changing game of the year. How about you guys?
Wow.
I guess if we're talking like within video games, then I guess episode 5 of The Walking Dead would qualify.
It's most
memorable. It's going to stick with me for a very long time.
Not there yet. I'm playing with... I knew that if I could get my wife... She hates zombies. Like, hates them. Just that scares the crap out of her. She doesn't like to think about the idea of a zombie apocalypse. But I knew that if I sat her down long enough to where she could start to see the relationship develop between Clementine and Lee, that she'd be along for the ride. And so now she begs me to play more. So we're through episode 2, and I can't wait to finish it. And so I have a similar expectation that ultimately that's probably going to be it, just based on how many people I've heard say that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean,
Fez was pretty memorable.
Fez
pretty interesting twist.
Fez was good. Fez's soundtrack was very
intimidated me.
Fez's what intimidated you?
It simultaneously bored and intimidated me. I think its map is terribly, terribly designed. And part of that is that it shows you very clearly how much shit you're going to have to deal with. And shows you how much of a pain in the ass it's going to be for you to navigate from one end of it to another. And so what happens when I play Fez, which I know to be a quality game and many people enjoy, and I like the platforming stuff, it's fine. But I turn it on, I open the map to see what I should do next, and I say, fuck this.
So if it were more like Journey or something that just didn't let you know what was going to happen next, it just...
No, because you got to have there's a balance that has to be struck between those two ideas. I think it wasn't so much. It was overwhelming what a pain in the ass it looked like everything was going to be in Fez. You know, oh god, I'm gonna have to go through there and then up there and over to there and then down here and through there to get to this blank spot, and I don't even know what the fuck's over there.
For other people, of course, that's like, oh, I get to go there and do that and be there, and
I get to go through here again, and then I get to go through here again, and now I get to go through here again to get to this. It's just
That's how people feel about like GTA, for instance. They're like, "Oh, I get to drive around the city and be in the place and do the things." Unless you don't like that, then you're like, "Oh, Jesus, it's just work."
The best thing Grand Theft Auto 4 added was taxi cabs.
Mm.
The ability to travel instantly at any time when traveling was an incidental thing, where it was just a matter of you getting from your point of your current location to your next activity. Just call a cab, get in the fucking cab, pay $60, and it's done. None of this driving across town to get to your objectives. It's the reason I don't like Burnout Paradise, which I love the entire Burnout series up to that point, because it's the only racing game I can play and feel good about myself. And then Paradise comes along, and I'm expected to drive across the fucking map to start a race.
Yeah.
No.
I remember I only played the demo with that, and it didn't make much sense to me. Points for trying, I guess. They tried to be different.
Yeah. Mix that up with Driver San Francisco, which people loved.
San Francisco was surprising. I liked it. It had its problems, but it was a good little game.
Was this year the year that Capcom announced that bad box art Mega Man was going to be in Street Fighter Cross Tekken? That was this year, right?
I can't remember.
I think so.
If that was this year, then that was the most memorable. I can't remember. Haha, irony. But if that was this year, then that was my most memorable moment. That's my favorite moment. That was so good that they did that. It's very, very rare for a company to make fun of themselves in the process of doing a bonus character like that.
Yeah.
And they did.
It's a shame the fans thought that they were being made fun of themselves.
Yeah, my least favorite thing about this year is people taking business decisions of Capcom, which have been often very bad decisions, taking them personally. That's gotta just stop. People in general, I hope people stop.
Yeah, let's not limit this to Capcom.
Sure, all of them. But with Capcom, I've noticed it the most because I like so many Capcom series that I'm always reading those posts, I'm writing those posts, and even when they do something good, like the Street Fighter Cross Mega Man thing, people are angry about it, saying, "Oh, they're just ripping off the fan who's making it." They're not ripping him off; they're paying him. They gave him the ability to live the dream and actually make a real Mega Man game that he got paid to make. That would be so awesome. I'd be so happy if I were that.
You're gonna get a fucking Mega Man game, for God's sake! What's wrong with you? I really think that and I say this coming from a perspective of love for Mega Man, and as someone who would, if he, I can't, I would like to count myself among Mega Man's fans, but I think there's only about 10,000 of us that are left. It's the dying breed. And on the internet, we sound really, really loud.
Yeah. There are fair weather fans that, rightfully so, aren't just going to blindly buy every Mega Man game that comes out, especially if it doesn't even star Mega Man at the outset. That's the thing about the Mega Man Legends thing. He wasn't even in the game, from what we could tell. It was just rumored he was going to show up later. It was just a game about a robot kicking robots and shooting stuff. And there was less than 10,000 people, I think, were excited about that, sadly, because the Legends series, if sales are any indicator, wasn't a hit. Not big numbers there. Yet people couldn't understand why they would cancel it. They canceled it because they didn't think it would make them money. It's just that simple. They're not mad at you guys. Come on.
And there's no reason for you to be mad at them, because the fact of the matter is if they produce too many of these games that nobody wants to, or only your small select group of people want to buy, they won't make any more games ever.
Right, that'll be that. They'll drive it into the ground, like they were doing. They were putting out too many Mega Man games for a while, guys. Yeah, it's so hard to sound serious and say the word Mega Man at the same time. It's just not a serious sounding word. But anyway, yes, we told them, Conrad. Now they know. We'll get more questions.
I just don't want anyone to be angry about anything,
Me neither.
Can we just come to terms with the fact that Capcom isn't treating the series with the same sort of respect and dignity it might have in 1992? And,
because it's not making them that kind of money anymore. So
yeah,
it's just the
exactly.
way
And
it
it's just
goes
because there's
sometimes.
less of us. And maybe if we didn't seem like such fucking pricks every time they did something, more people would want to associate with us. And maybe we could grow that audience instead of just closing people off and say, God, look at those assholes.
Yeah, man, you nailed it. You're good on the rants lately. I'm all about it. What's the worst game of the year? Asks Nintendan, Daan, who does excellent exclusive Nintendo videos. By the way, check out his YouTube channel. What do you think your worst game of the year is, Jim?
I don't want to give too much away because on Christmas Eve I'm doing the top 10 shittiest games of 2012 on the Jimquisition. So I will just say that the front runners are Family Guy: Back to the Multiverse, Black Ops Declassified, and Revelations 2012.
I'm trying to remember what Revelations 2012 is. Is that game that's like Left 4 Dead
It
only?
was the really racist Left 4 Dead, yeah.
It's funny. I'll have to remember that. I'm lucky I don't have to play bad games like you do, Jim. I very rarely get games sent to me for review that I didn't request. And so sometimes they're a little disappointing. They're seldom awful. I think I played was that zombie WiiWare game? Can't even remember. Zombie Attack? I think that was this year. I think I gave that a
That
3.
sounded so refreshing. Why? What was wrong with Zombie Attack?
What was wrong with Zombie Attack? It was Angry Birds, but from a different camera angle, so you couldn't actually tell how far away anything was. Oh no, my dog's barking. Rats! I'll have to get back to you on that. Conrad, in the meantime, why don't you talk about your worst games, Conrad?
That's really, really the problem with that question is that I play about a dozen Xbox Live indie games demos every week. Um, so I don't even know where you quantify what's bad because that service is rife with some really terrible, terrible, terrible crap. So I would say anything on that service that attempted to be overtly sexual in nature is just about the worst thing ever.
Oh God,
Can you
I
give me
can't
some
even imagine.
examples?
Well, it's
I
just
want some
that
examples.
they'll make these okay, so you'll have these visual novel things, and those are, kind of dumb. You'll have a Trailer Park Kings, which is just some guy's excuse to draw large-breasted cartoon women in a adventure game where you're wandering around and trying to become a pimp in a trailer park. I believe that's the plot. I don't want. Apologies if I get it wrong. I don't want to, diminish this clearly award-worthy narrative. But and then you'll have things that they're just shoot 'em ups, but they decided, oh, you know what, I'm gonna make some 3D model with a 8-inch waist and a 45-inch bust, and it's going to shoot lasers from its mouth poorly.
Now, why do you even bother? I'm always so confused about people who make games that feel like failed attempts to pander. Clearly there wasn't a lot of passion in that. At least it doesn't sound like it. So they had the mindset of like, I have to put in this 8-inch waist, 40-inch bust lady in order for this game to sell. Oh, dog. Oh, dog.
Well, they'll
Oh.
try to write sexy dialogue or whatever, and it's just terrible. And then you'll get the ones like, oh, here's how to meet women, you socially inept gamer. They're basically pop quiz. Which of these 4 answers is going to help you get laid? If you're talking to a woman, and it's just like, oh.
I have something I want to say, but my dog is
Suck
barking,
my
so I can't talk.
chungus, you sexy idiot. That's my pickup line.
Yeah, right, and it works.
Yeah.
I'm wet now.
I gotta go with this dog. I'm gonna read a question and then
Right.
run
I just
away
read
for
a
style.
fantastic comment on my Rayman
Oh, you did?
Legends review. Not review,
Okay, go
the
do that.
Rayman
I'll be back.
Legends demo impression post. There's this guy called Triforce1995 who's fast becoming my favourite commenter because he just leaves pearls of wisdom like, he speaks well of it now, but I'm sure come review time this idiot will give it a 4 out of 10. He comes in now and then. Just, I mean, with a name like Triforce 1995, you get a
Right.
rough idea of what he likes and how old he is, and just leaves wonderful pearls of wisdom like that. Mostly calling people, usually me, an idiot for not liking everything Nintendo does. Oh, commenters are so funny.
Why do people... I don't understand the comparisons between Rayman Legends and Mario, because they're both platformers, but other than that, I mean, maybe Rayman's a little like Kirby, but other than that, I don't see it being like
No,
very many Nintendo games at all.
they're both family friendly, although I will say Rayman is always and continues to have a little bit of a, an undercurrent of something.
Yeah, it's more regular show where Mario would be Adventure Time. So they appeal to the same crowd, but one's it's got a little bit more of an edge to it for the teens, for that youth.
For gameplay, though, I mean, Rayman's you punch and you jump, which is pretty different than Mario, which is holding down the run button and jumping, and anyway.
They're both platformers. Good enough. This is an industry that compares
They're both mascot.
Premonition and Heavy Rain, so
they're both mascot type platformers, with a heavily promoted lead character that the game is named after, and so there's that comparison too. It's Sonic the Hedgehog is almost nothing like Mario Brothers either, but you see those compared all the time.
I try not to. I think they're pretty different. But anywho,
they're almost completely different.
Slime Girl asks, regardless of whether the game was good or not, have you ever played a game with an art style that totally blew you away? Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez. Yeah.
Almost
Journey, Wind Waker, Murasama, the Demon Blade, Muramasa, I mean.
Yep.
Jeez, the list goes on.
Any of those
Persona 4
fighters?
Very recently, I've been playing Black Knight Sword.
How's that?
The grasshopper platform action combat-y Castlevania-ish game.
Tuesday that came out on PSN.
Yeah, we've got Chris Carter reviewing it. I think his thoughts are very much mine. It's a very interesting game, very fun in places, very weird, has its frustrations. But there you go. I was going to review it myself, but I
reviewed every game Grasshopper's ever made.
Pretty much. It's, I mean, just basically imagine Castlevania. And then imagine Suda51 making it, and there you are. And so it's the art style is incredible. It's got this whole cardboard cutout look to it, but not in a South Park stylistic suck kind of way, because it just
like
looks gorgeous.
Paper puppets, kind of. That's how I remember it looking.
Yeah, it's got a puppety look, and there are curtains on the side, like it's a little puppet stage, and the backgrounds constantly are like pulled in and out, like someone's yanking cardboard in the background, and it's just this mind-blowing style. And then graphically, it's really gorgeous as well. It doesn't look like, when you get a game that looks like that, sometimes they look like someone put it together in Flash, and it can still look beautiful, but the animations leave a lot to be desired, and there's something cheap looking to it. And this game, even though it looks like cardboard cutouts, there's nothing cheap looking about it. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it just for the looks and the concept. It starts with the main character has hung himself, as I remember, and then somehow he gets cut down and leaves a hotel. It's called Black Knight Sword, but it's got hotels and neon signs and really interesting mix of old medieval style and futuristic look to it. Yeah, and really disgusting, fun-looking, hand-drawn monsters, just like a disgusting old man's head with legs coming out of the ears.
The enemies are amazing. My favorite bit were these big, like, horse heads on springs, and they look like those toys on springs with plungers on. You'd stick them, they'd stick for a while and then bounce up, and they look like that, but they see you and they neigh and then just bounce 3/4 of the way around the screen in this really exaggerated cartoon way, and it's just a wonder to look at. Very visually exciting game, that.
Must buy, just for that. It was the same with the Adventure Time game for the DS and 3DS, which I reviewed recently. Great game if you've never played a game like that before. In terms of the design, it's like a great first action adventure game for people who haven't already played a million Zelda games or a million Metroid or Castlevania type games, but just so beautiful to look at. I've replayed it just to look at it. Yeah, I love that game. It did it. More questions. I'm petting my dog, holding a microphone, and checking questions all at the same time. Electro Baron asks, what would you want in a Dune RPG? I would want turn-based combat. I would want weird soliloquies. I'd want talking about the spice. I'd want Sting. How about you guys?
Sting. Just the Sting bit will do.
How about you? Any thoughts, Conrad?
I think I missed part of the question because
just what would you want in a Dune RPG? I think there already was
Dune
one.
RPG. Yeah. I'd like it to be made interesting. Can you make Dune interesting for me?
Oh,
can you make it a little less boring and slow?
You.
And you know what I have to say? You know what I have to say to the people who would comment angrily about my response to Doom? Fear's the mind killer. Fuck you. I'm not afraid of this. Come at me, brah. Actually, my best friend gave me a copy of Dune for no seeming reason other than his insistence that I need to read it again because he's convinced he'll change my mind.
How about the movie, though? The David Lynch movie. Did you see that, Conrad?
Also very slow. And it's David Lynch. It's very, very slow.
Oh, this is nice. Colin Starry asks, does Conrad feel like a third wheel every week on the show? More Conrad, please. No
More like a third testicle.
That's awesome. Extra testicles? That's a character that Cheech played. Cheech Marin. E.T. Extra testicles. You are a special guy, Conrad, and I'm glad that you talked a lot on this particular episode. I think people are getting to know you more. And I felt like a third testicle sometimes on old Podtoid, because Jim and Max would get on such a run with each other. They're like improv comedians feeding off each other's minds, and I would be
I've never really felt like a third wheel or anything like that. I'm the kind of person who I react. I'm a reactive person. I do better in conversations when I have something to play off of, and there's no lack of that here. So
the way I view, because I listen back on Podtoids.
Oh no!
Because
really?
I did not even out of ego. I just like reliving my memories with you, Jonathan.
Oh,
I just like having it again, and I've noticed often Conrad's role on the show is like the snake in the Garden of Eden. Just this seductive tempter, just pulling the pieces and putting everything where it should be and setting people off. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, he's as he is on Destructoid many of the times, behind the scenes, structuring things. People might expect that he's going to be shocked at some of the things you may say, but he accentuates them like spice. I think you do a great job on it. Oliver Page asks, he's Pageboy81 on Twitter, are you looking forward to Binding of Isaac for consoles, and did you play it on PC?
Yes.
I did play it on PC, and yes. Yes and yes.
Yes and yes. Controller support. I'm rock hard at the thought of it. I'm just... nothing frustrated me more than having to, try and find a controller setup for Binding of Isaac that would work. And what I wound up doing, I'm so angry still. I'd be holding my 360 controller in my left hand with the analog and then shooting with the keyboard on the cursor keys.
That sounds impossible. How'd you balance all of that?
Actually,
with your mind?
It became really, really easy once I got the hang of doing it. But
that's how most control things are. Yeah, I'm excited about the graphics too. As much as I like the character designs and how it looked in Flash, there's something special about seeing a game you've already enjoyed remade with a different art direction. And I think
I like the samples that he showed. The four. Now, I mean, there was one that I thought was sort of far and away better than the others, and that was the slightly big head.
Right. I think that was the Game Boy Advance style one. I think so.
Yeah, probably. And I thought that. So I think, and it's nice to see that a lot of people seem to go that way, because it was that one and another one that he's sort of merged into this new thing that he's designed. I'm liking it. I think it looks good. I'm excited.
For those who I just realized people may not know, Binding of Isaac was a game that Ed McMillan made with a programmer whose name suddenly escapes me. I apologize. For PC, he made it in like 3 months. He thought it would be like, 10,000 people will buy it or something. Sold like 1 million units. It made him almost as much money as Super Meat Boy did, or maybe even more. And now he's teaming with Nicholas, who is the company that put out Cave Story and is putting out Aban Hawkins and the 1001 Spikes on 3DS, and I think it's also coming to the PS3 and the PS Vita now.
It's coming to Wii U. I know that.
It's coming to Wii U. It's coming. I think it might be coming to. I can't remember. I'll have to double check. But yeah, he's helping to put up Binding of Isaac, and their hope is for it to be on everything, for 360, PS3, Wii U, 3DS, Vita. They'll put it on as many consoles as they can. It's pretty exciting. If you haven't played it before, it is a torturous, exciting adventure into a basement where you're a naked crying baby and you need to survive, and it changes every time you play it, the layout and the power ups. So it's kind of like Spelunky in that way. It's kind of a top down shooting Spelunky with a Legend of Zelda influence and a crying baby. Anyway, should I do another question, or what do you guys want to do? I'm really struggling to be good at talking. I'm getting bitten by a dog with one hand and talking to a microphone with another.
Now that's multitasking.
It's pretty hard, and trying to read these questions at the same time. I really am the worst at being professional on Podtoid. Patty Carr wants to know.
So you're the reason Engadget gave us the snub.
Engadget gave us the snub? Yeah. I almost read about that, but I don't know what happened.
It's literally not that interesting.
It's really not.
Okay.
Engadget ran a list of like Twitter accounts you should follow if you're into gaming, and they didn't include Destructoid in the list, and that's fine. That's their prerogative. I don't really care. I think it's a great list of other people in there, and I think there's value in it. And if we're not in there, that's fine. But people on the internet got kind of came to Destructoid's defense, such as it is, I guess.
That's not an attack, though. It's just an omission.
It looked glaringly significant as an omission. That it looked very much like a snub. And when he was asked to explain it and said that Destructoid, in his view, was essentially a fan site and didn't deserve to be up there with Kotaku and Joystick and whatnot.
Well, I don't want to paint Ben Gilbert unfairly here. So I'm going to say, I think it was more along the lines of he just didn't classify it the same way. It's not a matter of deserving to be there or not. It's just in terms of what his qualifications were for these categories, we just didn't meet those qualifications. Okay,
and
go ahead.
That's fine. I mean, he didn't really explain that. He just said, here are the best gaming websites. He didn't say the most journalistic or the ones I think are professional. But it just looked. There was a reason why people, like many people, pointed out that it looked weird, because it did look weird. and I found the fan site designation, the way it was worded, sounded like a bit of a snub, and I was mildly insulted. And
well, what if he just said, "I don't like Destructoid. I don't like that website." I
preferred that.
Yeah, that's fine.
If he'd have just said, "I don't like Destructoid," fair enough.
I think fan site was just a poor choice of words.
Quite possibly.
The way I see it, he said fan site. I probably would have used a word like enthusiast press.
Something. But then, I mean, you get to the point, like, isn't that Kotaku? I mean, they're not even enthusiasts of games half the time.
Yeah, they do
maybe not, but they are backed by a what is now effectively a major media company.
And that, you have to ask, like, was that it? Like, do you have to be corporate? Because, I mean, if anything, for Detoy to get in the position it's got and never sell to buyers is amazing to me. But there you go. I mean, I'm not that bothered. It was just Jonathan said he wasn't professional, and I thought that was a funny interjection. Not that I didn't want to spark this, because Ben Gilbert's cool enough. I got no problem with him. He's congenial. Is that the word? And we had a nice little discussion. I was hoping to just see if I could convince them, because I like doing that. I like trying to convince people of things.
Yeah, and I think
fun.
apart from us, the list is pretty good. It's a good list.
It's a good little list, yeah.
Yeah. I'm following almost all of those people, so there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can do more questions, or we can stop. It's up to you guys.
Do one more, and then I've got
All right.
to go back to editing.
Let me see if I can click on a thing while being bitten and holding a microphone. Oh, now she's gone. Come back here. I don't know. I guess we can do this one. Felix Thomas, who is Folixy Richie, I think, on Twitter, asks, do old school graphics like PS1 and 64 prevent you from trying old games, even though people say they are great? Like let's say you've never played Banjo-Kazooie or Brave Fencer Musashi. Would you not play it because of the graphics at this point?
I don't think so. I bought stuff off PS1 Classics that just look interesting. There's actually a list of games I want to try that I never got around to trying the first time round on PS1 that are on PSN. And the graphics don't really bother me, even though, in fairness, that the early polygonal things were a bad time for video game graphics.
Dark days.
I mean, they are among the ugliest games around, but, I sometimes I feel like I have to. It's just time that prevents me more than anything. I barely have time to go back and try old things. But I'm hoping to make time to do it. I want to finally get around to doing Vagrant Story. I don't know if that...
Oh, yeah.
For some reason or another, I missed it. It must have come out in Europe. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But never got around to trying it. I really want to.
Funny you would mention it. A game made by the Vagrant Story guy is coming out on the 3DS, I think, this week, Crimson Shroud. And a lot of people have already described it as Vagrant Story, but worse. So we'll see if that lives up to that. I like Vagrant Story quite a bit. That was back when I was really loyal to the Final Fantasy brand, when I was a much younger person. And I was like, what's this Vagrant Story? They should just give me another Final Fantasy. And then I played it, and I was like, it's pretty good. It's a weird, very dungeon-focused, very brown action exploration game that had some really smart design in there. So it was a lot of fun. I've been meaning to write about this for a while. I personally think that games don't age, people do. Like, the games look exactly the same as they always have. And maybe your tastes have changed, but if you can make sure that you don't develop standards that you to just blanketly dismiss games with certain art directions or certain technical limitations, that you can enjoy them as much as you always have. When PS1 first came out, it's like, oh my god, polygons, and we're all excited.
That's one of those things that gets harder the longer time goes on, and we have generations of people who can't even have the context of this is how it was then to go off of.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't blame people if they don't like an ugly looking game.
Although fair enough to my stepkid here, he's no graphical snob at all. He will happily play PS1 games. He actually requested an N64, and will happily play them. Like, doesn't matter what the game looks like. If it's a fun looking game to him, i.e. if it's got swords, then he's into it.
Yeah, I found that to be true with the younger people I've known. It's only people who at one point were really, really impressed with polygon-based graphics like PS1 that now look at them and they feel like an emptiness and disappointment because they don't get that feeling that they used to anymore.
Wow, you really just hit the nail on the head right there, because this is one of those things that my wife and I will never ever see eye to eye on.
Really?
She just cannot look at a game that's not gorgeous.
Huh. Interesting.
And so I will try, I'll try to sit her down and get her to play something that's a little older, and she can't penetrate the visuals. She's an artist, and she just can't penetrate the visual to get to the underlying mechanic a lot of the time. The thing that allows you to appreciate it in spite of its age for me, as long as the graphics don't actually prevent me from playing the game in any way. As long as they're not a hindrance to gameplay,
like Busby 3D, where the game just doesn't exist most of the time. Like they
Right.
just don't have the graphics appear until it's too late. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I should just say that when Conrad said penetrate the visuals to get to the mechanic, obviously as soon as he said penetrate, I was thinking about having sex with you, Jonathan. Obviously. But then he said penetrate the visual, and then I just thought about sticking my penis in your eye to and using it to nudge out of a bed in your brain, just a little guy with a spanner and overalls. He's just sleeping in your brain, and I'm sticking my knob through your eye and poking him. He's like, get off! And he falls out of bed and drops his spanner.
I want you to make a Grasshopper game, Jim. I want Grasshopper to just give you a game to make. And it won't be for much money, but that's exactly the kind of... There's almost something like that happens in the beginning of Flower, Sun, and Rain. You stick a headphone jack into a guy's eye in a parking lot within like the first 5 minutes of that game.
Really?
He's like, yeah, stick it in. Anyway, I guess we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
That's fun. This is a really big week for me, guys. The project I've worked on longer than any other project is going to be debuted on Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Machinima. It's called Teenage Pokemon. They just asked me, and I'm not sure why, but they asked me to cut out like 30 seconds or 45 seconds of it, which is kind of long because it's only 3 minutes long, the first episode. So that's, I think I can put that part on Rev3's Destructoid YouTube channel. So a couple of videos may be coming up, one on Rev3 and one on Machinima. One of them would be the full episode. The other one will be just a coming soon, kind of a preview of the first season. But yeah, it's a thing. It's the first thing I've ever done that's really much larger than me. 3 animators, a computer graphics artist. I got some sound help. I did all the voice acting and the deciding on what words will be said and that sort of thing. But the character designs weren't by me. It's all these other people. I feel responsible for them for it to be successful. So please watch it for their sake. And they're supposed to get paid based on the page views or the views. I'm not taking any money for it, but yeah, give them some money. Watch it so these poor artists don't die. On machinima.com, Saturday, 9 a.m. Teenage Pokemon. Oh God. It's scary because Machinima's audience is teenagers a lot of the time, and the show kind of makes fun of teenagers. So we'll see how that goes over. Yeah. So that's one thing I'm doing. And then on Sunday, on Sup Holmes, we're having James Kochalka, who is a legendary comic book artist. He did a comic series where it was called The Comics Journal, I believe. He drew a little event from his life every day in comic book form for like 5 years or 6 years. He's also done a comic you'd really enjoy, Jim, called Funky Froglin's Freaky Forest, I believe it's called. It's about a giant purple frog man who's just always nude and walking up to flowers and being like, "Can I fuck it?" And then he'll just start fucking it and be like, "Oh, it feels good. Oh, I enjoy it." He's an innocent, sweet frog man with a boner that just fucks everything. Anyway, he'll be on the show this Sunday to talk about his work on Glorkbot Adventures, which is a new video game by the Pixel Jam guys. It looks really fun, like a cross between Metroid, Galaga, and Mega Man. So that'll be good. This Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Destructoid's Twitch TV channel. And we have a new episode on the iTunes as well with Joe Lammert and George Royer, who made God of Blades, an iOS game where you kill skeletons and monsters nonstop. So it seems like a kind of typical nonstop action game. But if you take the game to a library, you unlock new swords. It's like a game that's secret propaganda to try to get people to actually read. And it's really fun and really beautiful. The fact that they made it with such little money, it looks like a 3DS quality game or almost Vita quality. We talked with them on iTunes, on the Sup Holmes on the iTunes. So check out Sup Holmes on iTunes and listen to them talk. They're really interesting. I liked them. What do you think of them, Conrad?
Yeah, I liked them. I thought they were fun.
Yeah.
Seem like some smart people.
Yeah,
So,
they're scholarly types. They
Mhm.
both one had a PhD, and the other had a master's, and
But that doesn't
they
mean they're boring. Just in case, the impression that people, could be a little bit of an academic persuasion, they can still be interesting too.
yeah, they really like just fantasy and swords, just thinking about swords all day. Your son would actually love this game, Jim, now that I think about it.
It's really all swords.
Yeah, you get a sword, then you kill guys with a sword, then you're like, who's got a new sword? Then you get that and kill more guys. With a pretty good combat system, actually. For iOS game, it's pretty impressive, the combo system and stuff like that. So anyway, yeah, enough out of me. What are you guys up to?
Well, we just we put up a new episode of Office Chat up. Like the first one, I went and looked to see how long it had actually been since we'd gotten one that worked and was entertaining and I wasn't embarrassed by. And it's like only been since May, so no big deal. But that's up there now. And we talked a bit about Dark Souls and the Game of the Year awards stuff that we are all going through right now this week. So you can go check that out. That's on the youtube.com/dtoid channel. If you're not subscribed to that, subscribe to that. Subscribe to the Dtoid TV channel, also youtube.com/dtoid TV, one word, for episodes of Sub Homes and all sorts of stuff that's coming from our Twitch channel. This weekend on Saturday Morning Hangover, we're going to be hanging out, Jordan DeVore and my wife and I, and we're going to be playing Xbox Live indie games and stabbing our eyes out with chopsticks and just your normal weekend. So then that's at 10 a.m. Pacific at dtoid.tv on Saturday.
Awesome.
Excellent.
What about you, Jim? What are you doing?
Excellent. I don't know. Oh, yeah. If you go to escapismagazine.com, this week's Jimquisition episode, which aired on Monday, was called Dumbing Down for the Filthy Casuals. That was more or less defending things like easy modes in Dark Souls, which you wouldn't believe how angry that makes people. I didn't expect it, but people be mad because I suggested that someone who might find normal mode impossible, could benefit from an easy mode. It would still be hard to them. But how dare I suggest that, people don't get one special thing all to themselves and other people aren't allowed to play. So that was interesting. I'm going to have to revisit that topic once I get my sanity back. But next week is the special thing I've been working on for quite some time, the Jimquisition Awards, which is a first for me. Trying to do my own little award show. It's got a special badge and everything I can give to publishers. I bought gold cloth to hang up in front of the red flag. I went all out to make this thing that I'm really annoyed by because I put so much effort into it and it didn't meet my standards, but it'd still be good. And that's starting on Monday, December 17th. That will run for all the 5 days of that week. So then on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, there will be a new video every day. Every single game will win an award. That's 4 games, 4 awards for the 4 most outstanding games of the year. And then the 5th final award on Friday is the overall the game of the year. Pretty simple concept, but it's a bit different because it's not like different categories and things. It's like these are the 5 outstanding games of the year, and one of them is the bestest one of them. So simple, but a bit different. There's no categories and that kind of stuff. But that's happening, and that's really all I've got on my side of things. But if you go on Destructoid.com, all throughout this week, we've been doing nominations for our games of the year over there, and they do have categories. We've got the overall game of the year, best strategy, best multiplayer, best portable, best soundtrack, best visuals, all sorts of categories, and they're all going up next week, so keep an eye out for that. And other than that, we'll be back next week, I think.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I'd want to. Yeah, stop the classism, guys. Games. Don't judge people based on the class you put them in, like casual, hardcore. Come on, saying that only good people enjoy certain kinds of games or something. Nah,
it doesn't matter if you're a black mage or a thief or, we can all come together.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Let's end on that note.
Hands across America. Thank you for listening, guys, no matter what your cultural background. And we will see you next week. Goodbye.